What's going on, YouTube world? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dusty, and as always, this is the Shred Academy. In the past, we've covered small and medium drops, but we haven't covered anything tall. So today, we're gonna be covering big drops. And when I say big drops, this one's actually quite sizable. It stands about 5 feet tall and about 7 feet out. This channel has been brought to you by nobody yet. We're still looking for 2 channel sponsors, guys. Please hit me up in an email. I can talk about your company or your cause for a couple seconds and let people know about it. Help the channel survive. Hit me up in an email, link below. First thing we're gonna talk about is approach. Now, just like any other feature, we wanna approach this in a relaxed position so that by the time we get to the edge or closer to the edge, we can start our body movements. Now that we've talked about approach, let's discuss speed. Now, this particular drop has a good angle up and then the flat top of which we're gonna drop off of. So you're gonna need to make sure that you have enough speed not only to make the drop, but to get up the incline as well. So you may have to come in with a little more speed that you'll lose going up the incline, and then depending on how long, we'll call it the flat top is, you may be able to get a pedal stroke there if you need it, but myself, I'd prefer to be able to coast in, up, not have to pedal or hit the brakes. If I had to choose between the two, I'd probably want to pedal because it's not going to engage the suspension, and then we can float right off. Or if we don't have enough speed, we can do a small bunny hop. Now, finally, when we talk about speed, we're really talking about the speed that you need to clear the distance from the edge of the drop to the knuckle of the landing. But always remember that the higher the drop you have, the more time you have to fall. So if you have a smaller drop that has about the same distance as this, you may need to go a lot faster to clear that gap. The higher you get, the less speed you'll need. It's also important to do a few roll-ups like this. We're gonna dive a little deeper into speed, and we're gonna define a term called given trail speed. Now in this clip, you can see I don't put in any pedals. I don't have to brake before the drop itself. I can just take the speed that the trail has given me in this section and the sections before it, and I can ride up the entrance ramp and right off the drop, and then use my proper form to make the landing. Now I mention this trail speed term because most professionally built parks with features such as this will build them with the trail speed in mind so that you don't have to do any extra work and you're set up for the speed that you need. And you'll also find this on a lot of jump lines. Once you get into the jump line, you're not having to pedal unless you case a jump because you have the given trail speed. So if you find that you don't have the given trail speed and you need a little bit more speed to get off of the drop, let's scoot on over. We'll take a look at this clip where I come in a little slower, relaxed but slow, and I have to grab a few pedal strokes. So let's have a look at this here, if I ever get there. Now again, I'm quite relaxed here, and as I come up the ramp, of which you're always gonna lose speed if you're going up something inclined. And now as I realize as I'm going up the top, I know I'm not gonna have enough speed to make this distance. So I start throwing in a few pedal strokes, 1, 2, and then as soon as I'm done my pedal stroke, I'm off the drop and headed towards the landing. Now I'm gonna preface this by saying I don't recommend anyone really pedaling all the way to the edge of the lip like I've done here, because it's actually quite difficult to then set yourself up and drop properly. So sometimes if you know you don't have the speed, stop, turn around, walk back up the trail safely, and then reattempt with just slightly more speed. Now, what happens if we say we have a trail that comes down and then goes to the flat and off the drop and then to the landing? Now, we'd want to get all of our braking done in the hill before it, okay? We don't want any of our braking to be done on this flat bit before the drop, because that's gonna engage our suspension and definitely throw off our body position. So let's go check one of those out. Now finally, when we talk about speed, what's gonna happen if you have too much speed before the drop? You wanna be able to use your brakes, but knowing when to use your brakes is key. Now, I've created too much trail speed here, and I have to slow down because if I go off this drop with too much speed, I'm gonna overshoot the landing and that's gonna hurt. So you'd wanna get all your braking done in this time before you get to the flat top of which you wanna be preparing for the drop. If I do any braking here, it's gonna throw my body position forward, and that's gonna cause me to have to reset my body feet before I'm supposed to go off this drop and execute body positions. So the only way that you should be using your brakes on the flat before the drop is if the flat is a lot longer. Now again, if the trail is coming down, you'd want to get all your braking done in this section. You wouldn't want to come down and get your braking done right before, because what did I say before? That's going to throw all your body weight forward and you won't be prepared to perform these next body bike movements that we're going to talk about. Oh yeah, and don't go off so fast that you clear the landing completely. That's never any good. When we decide what form we're going to use going off of a drop like this, we're going to have to reference the speed we have. Now, if we have trail speed and we can literally just ride right off with correct body movements, that's great. And we'll go through that. It's a lot like the push. The wheel essentially just falls down to the landing. But if we approach this drop at a slower speed, we're gonna have to make up for that speed with a little height to actually make the distance that we have to travel. And that's when we're gonna rely on that J-hop form. Now that we've discussed speed, how to manage our speed, and how to not manage our speed, let's go ahead and look at the two different forms that are going to be dictated by how much speed we're carrying into the drop. This first clip we're going to look at is me at trail speed, and it looks as though I kind of just ride right off the drop. But let's go ahead and take a look at my body positions as I leave the drop, because it's not really riding off the drop. It's a lot like a push or shove without the shove itself. So as I reach the edge of the drop here, notice my weight sink down into my bike a little bit. I'm definitely not engaging my suspension. I'm literally just sinking my weight down a little bit. Now, as my front wheel leaves, notice my body weight shift into that rear third. I'm doing that so my front wheel can plane out easier and not just fall right off the edge. Now, as I reach the edge of the drop and my rear wheel leaves, notice I push the handlebars away, a lot like we did in the shove or push off of a smaller drop. We're just going through the motions at trail speed. Now, as I reach halfway across the drop, notice I'll start to stand up on the bike, creating space so I can use my arms and legs as added suspension for the landing. Now, I want to rebuke or say no to you're just riding off. If I was just riding off here, right here, if I just rode off, even at this speed, my front wheel would dive right here. So my body weight has to shift slightly. So it's, again, a lot like the shove, but the trail speed given to us allows us literally to just go through the motions. If we don't have enough speed, let's come over to our second clip. Again, I come in nice and relaxed. Now, in this clip, let's go back and we'll play this. Now, again, it's at a slow motion speed, but it's a lot slower than the last one, and I have to create a little bit of an extra arc to make it to that sweet spot of the landing. So again, we'll approach in our relaxed attack position. We're gonna reach maybe a foot, maybe a little less before the edge, and notice my body go from relaxed to slightly preloaded. Right there. It's so hard to tell. Slightly preloaded, okay? And now I'm gonna initiate my front wheel lift, but I don't have to get my upper body so straight up as I do on some jumps, because I really don't need to create a whole lot of front wheel lift. I'm just trying to create a small arc out off the edge of the drop. Now, as I start to carry through the drop, my bike reaches halfway across, and this is where I'm gonna finish my explosion and pull my body weight forward back over center again. So let's see if we can see this. Right there. Let's go back a little bit. Right there. You can see me pull myself back over to center, and this is going to allow me to roll the handlebars forward so I can match the angle of the landing. Again, creating distance between me and the bike to use my arms and legs as added suspension in the landing. Now, what I'm not doing if I don't have enough speed is using the two-wheeled lift here and lifting the whole bike up at once, having the back wheel having to travel the bike length and then the distance of the drop. I was terrified to even try that off this, but I did do it off this medium one over here. So let's insert that clip. Now that you're in the air, let's talk about how you can set that bike down nice and smooth so you can be prepared for that next feature. Now that we have our landing gears engaged, we're extending those arms, extending our legs, trying to set that front wheel slightly down before so we can absorb with the arms, and then all of our weight goes back into that bottom bracket. I'm not letting my body completely slap down into the bottom, and my head, as always guys, looking down trail, getting ready for that next feature. And we can even see this in this clip as I'm just riding off. Midway through the air, engage landing gears, extending those legs and arms, right? And this one, we're slightly front wheel first, but still notice all my weight down into that bottom bracket. I'm not using my arms to take all my weight into. That would compress the fork way too much. We're always trying to just slightly absorb with that front tire and then all of our weight into the bottom bracket. Landing is very much the same for drops and jumps. Really always trying to set that front tire slightly down first and then rear, keeping our weight then centered over the bottom bracket, letting both shocks take the brunt of the force together.
You want to follow me off of it? No pressure.
Yeah, I can. I mean, like right at the edge, it looks like right here. This looks like super easy, but it's like getting to it. I'm just like, oh shit.
Yeah, just don't hit the brakes once you're up there, and the landing's pretty long, so as long as you have the right speed and you're not like popping off of it, you're gonna be fine.
All right.
Yep, you're fine. Woo! Hell yeah, bud. Whew. Oh, yes, dude.
Thanks a lot.
No worries. Well done. We just met John here on the trail. We worked on a little bit of a drop. John is in the military. Appreciate your service, man. Why do you like mountain biking?
I got into it a few years ago after I got off road biking, and I just wanted a little bit more excitement, and carving through some hills and mud flats turned into taking trips out and vacations out to bigger mountains and just getting a little bit of excitement out of it and having fun, meeting a lot of fun people too.
Awesome, man. Well, it was great meeting you on the trail, and good luck in your riding.
Thanks.
Yeah, bud. What's your name?
I'm Johnny, and I just had the pleasure to meet the Shred Academy man himself, and his videos are awesome.
It was, here, put this down. It was a super pleasure meeting you as well. If you ever see me on the trail, make sure you say hello.
Definitely.
All right, till next time, my man,
All
for
right.
sure.
Well, everybody, that's gonna do it for our video on bigger drops with speed. We hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, make sure to leave a comment, and always make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to support the channel and see it survive, please make sure you become a Patreon. I've got 3 different levels. It really helps make sure that food gets put on the table. Now as well, we're looking for 2 channel sponsors, like you saw me say before. That would really make up the difference between what I need to make a month and what I'm making a month. I'm sure eventually things will even out, but for now I could really use a little extra support, and I'd love to collaborate with you and your business or your cause and tell the world about it. We finally did figure out us raffling off the jersey, and we're gonna put all those details in the boner log video getting uploaded tomorrow. So make sure you don't miss that. We'll make sure you hear plenty of chances. Unlimited raffle tickets. It's up to you how many you buy. We thank you again for all your support. We love seeing you all on the trail, so if you do see me, make sure you say hello. And as always, ride hard, ride safe, be kind to each other. We're all in this together, and I'll see you in the next video. Good.